Hello and welcome to part 2 of Exploitation using ADSI and ADSISearcher series by Purple AD. In this video, we learn about ADSISearcher class and how to use it to enumerate objects within Active Directory. So ADSISearcher, as the name suggests, it's an interface provided by ADSI to search for objects in Active Directory. This class is part of .NET framework and the full path of the class is system.directoryservices.directorysearcher. As we have already seen in a previous video that ADSI and its associated classes can also be accessed via PowerShell by creating objects for any of the classes that are offered by ADSI. We can create an object for ADSISearcher class in three different ways. We can either use the new object commandlet of PowerShell, and in the type name we can specify the full path of the class, which is system.directoryservices.directorysearcher. Now if you don't specify any arguments, it will take the LDAP path to the current domain by default. However, if you want to change the search path, you will need to specify an argument, and you can do so by using the argument list parameter of new object commandlet, and you will need to pass it an array containing the search path that you want to set, typecasted as ADSI object. So this will be a directory entry object for ADSISearcher class. Another method to create an object of ADSISearcher class is to first create an object of ADSI class. So this is essentially a directory entry object that we are creating first, and then typecast this ADSI directory entry object to the ADSISearcher object. The third and the fastest way to create an ADSISearcher object is to combine these two lines into a single line. So here we have that. We have first specified a search path for a directory entry object, and here we are creating that directory entry object by typecasting it as ADSI, and then we are passing this object to ADSISearcher class and essentially typecasting this object as ADSISearcher. If it sounds a bit complex, do not worry, we'll see a demonstration in the lab now. So this is the Windows 16 machine in our AD lab, and it is joined to a domain called ind.ycscorp.local. Now to create an object for ADSISearcher class, as we saw, we will write object name. This can be any name, but for clarity purposes, I am writing ADSISearcher object, and we will use the new object commandlet of PowerShell, and we give the type name as system.directoryservices.directorysearcher. Now let's see the members of this object. To do that, we first specify our object variable, which is ADSISearcher object, and we pipe its output to get member commandlet offered by PowerShell. So as you can see that these are the methods that are offered by this object, and these are the properties that are available to access within this object. So if we see the search root property for this object, we write ADSISearcher object dot search root, and as you can see here that by default it has taken the LDAP path of the domain to which this machine is joined. Now in order to use a custom search path, as we saw, we need to pass an argument to this object, and we do that by using argument list parameter of new object commandlet, and we need to pass it an array, and in that array we need to pass it an ADSI object which contains the LDAP path to the object which we want to search. So in our case, this will be DC equal to YCScorp, DC equal to local. And now if we see the search root for this object, you will see that it is now set to DC YCScorp.local, which is the forest domain for this particular domain. Now let's also have a look at the second method of creating the object, which was to first create a directory entry object using the ADSI type accelerator. We'll specify the type accelerator, which is ADSI, and then the LDAP path to our domain, and then we create an ADSISearcher object by typecasting the directory entry object to ADSISearcher type, And now if we see the search route for this particular object, you'll see that it is set to ind YCC corp local. Now the third and the simplest way of creating an object for ADSISearcher class is simply to first use a variable name. In our case, it's ADSISearcher object, and then use the type accelerator ADSISearcher, and then the type accelerator ADSI, and then the enough path to the object which we want to search. In our case, let's try DC equal to YCSC corp, DC equal to local. And if we see the search route for this particular object, okay, we need to correct the name here. We need to move this R. You'll see that it is set to YCSC corp local. Now let's once again check the members that are offered by this particular object, and let's once again run get member on this object. So you'll see that it also provides two functions called find one and find all. So the find one function is used to search for a single object in the search route specified while creating the ADSISearcher object, and if we don't pass any argument to it, or if we don't set any filter for this search, it by default returns information about the search route. Similarly, we have the find all method, which is used to search for multiple objects, and again if we don't set the filter property of ADSISearcher object, it by default returns information about all the objects that are available within the search route. Now let me show you a quick demonstration for these methods. First, find one method. And as you can see that it has returned the information about this particular domain. And to access the properties for this, you can just write find one dot properties, and it will list all the properties that are available for this search route. Similarly, if we run find all, it will just go ahead and list all the objects that are available within this domain. Now, how do we search for specific objects using ADSISearcher? To do that, the ADSISearcher class provides us with a filter property, and if we once again run get member on ADSISearcher object, you'll see this filter property that we can set before running either of these methods. The ADSISearcher filter property allows us to query the search route for specific objects, and the syntax for it is that you write the object then dot filter property, and to set it to a particular value we'll use the equal operator, and then the value of the filter, which is a string type. So in this case we are searching our search route for an object whose SAM account name is set to user.ind02. Let's set the filter property, and now if I run the find one method, you'll see that it will return details about this particular object. And to see the information about this object, you need to access its properties, and you can do that by mentioning dot properties, and it will list all information about this particular object. As you can see, the given name is user, logon count is 187, name is user ind02, and this is the ADS path. It will also show you when created and the group that this particular user object is part of. Now if you want to search for multiple objects matching a specific criteria, you can use the wildcard asterisk, and the syntax for using it is similar to the filter that we saw here, and instead of a specific value you use a value which uses the wildcard. So in our case we are searching for all objects in our search route which have a common name that includes the word user. So let's try this out. Cn equal to star user, again in asterisk, and now let's run find all method on this, and as you can see that it has returned all objects which include the word user in their Cn. And as we saw earlier that properties for each of these objects could be accessed using a dot properties attribute. So it will list properties for all the objects that it has found in this particular search. Now if you want to play around with individual properties for each of these objects, you can just pipe this result into a for each loop. That is something I'll show you in an upcoming video. Similarly, if you want to search for all OUs, you just use OU equal to star and it will list all OUs. Now you can combine multiple filters using AND, OR, and NOT operators. and even you can combine these operators and create complex search queries. Now let's say if you want to search for all groups which have the word admin in their common name, we'll use this filter. And now let's run find all method for this search. And as you can see that it has listed all the groups which have the word admin in their common name. So in the previous filter we were using an AND operator, and we wanted these two conditions to be set. Now if you want to set an OR filter, you can do this very simply just by replace this AND operator with the OR operator, which is the pipe operator. And let's say we are searching for all objects which have either SQL in their common name or their object category is of the type computer. And let's run find all. So as you can see that it has listed all computers or wherever there is an SQL in the common name of the object in a search root. Now apart from and OR operators, you can also use NOT operators. So let's see a quick example for that. So let's say that I want to search for all users which don't have the word IND in their common name, and since I'm searching user, object category will be user. And if I run find all, it will list all users which don't have the word IND in their common name. So using AND, OR and NOT operators, you can combine multiple filters and create really complex queries, and this will aid you in your enumeration part if you want to search for specific objects or let's say for custom objects that might be created by that particular organization. So that was all I had for this video. Thank you for watching it, and to stay updated on all our content, please subscribe to our channel Yaksas CSC, and you can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @Yaksas443.